Tomatoes don't need bees, so why are we planting flowers for them anyway? I'm Grant, Fiona's here, and this is Rude Insect.
And I'm already warning people. If you're expecting one sad marigold to magically bless a tomato plant, lower that expectation.
See, that's why you're here. I was going to say, plant flowers, receive tomatoes, and then you'd unplug my microphone.
I'd only unplug it if you said companion planting hack.
Fair. So today, we're talking companion plants for tomatoes that pollinators actually use. Bee balm, echinacea, and French marigolds. Not decoration, not garden center theater, actual insect traffic.
Right. Tomatoes are self-fertile, so they're not like cucumbers or squash where you need pollinators moving pollen from flower to flower. But bumblebees can buzz tomato blossoms, and that vibration can help shake pollen loose. The bigger reason to plant flowers nearby is to keep beneficial insects moving through the tomato area all summer.
In our Zone 6 bee garden, that busy window is July into September, when the tomato vines are sticky, huge, and acting like they own the bed.
Because they do. By August, an indeterminate tomato is not a plant. It's a landlord.
Okay, time for Grant's garden mistake. I once did the cute internet thing where I planted marigolds between every tomato. In June, it looked like a children's book. By mid-July, my Cherokee purple had turned into a shrub with legal representation, the marigolds were pale little noodles, and I had to reach through damp tomato leaves to pick fruit while snapping flower stems with my arm. The bees weren't visiting them, I wasn't enjoying them, nobody won.
That's the key lesson. Pollinator companions are usually better as edge plants, end cap plants, or a nearby strip. Don't bury them under the tomato canopy and then blame the flowers for failing.
So if someone has a 4-foot wide tomato bed, how would you lay it out?
I'd put the indeterminate tomatoes down the center, or just a bit off-center depending on the trellis. Space them about 24 to 30 inches apart if you plan to prune and harvest without needing a machete. Then put French marigolds along the sunny front edge, about 8 to 12 inches apart.
French marigolds specifically?
Yes, the smaller types behave better. They stay low, they bloom steadily, and small bees and hoverflies will actually use them. Plus, they add color right where you're picking tomatoes, which is nice, but not the main point.
And bee balm is the flashy one.
Bee balm is loud in the best way. Red, pink, purple, tall. And when it's happy, bumblebees and hummingbirds notice. But it needs space and airflow. Don't cram it beside a tomato stem. I'd put bee balm at the end of the bed or in a nearby perennial strip, more like 24 to 36 inches away from the tomatoes.
I want it right in the bed because it looks dramatic.
It will look dramatic when it mildews, flops, and blocks your path.
That's not the drama I ordered.
Exactly. Bee balm is excellent, but it's not a polite little filler plant. Give it sun, airflow, and room.
Then echinacea is the slower, steadier friend?
Yes, echinacea or coneflower is not always impressive from seed in year 1. Sometimes you mostly get leaves and disappointment. But by year 2, it forms a solid clump and blooms when tomatoes are really producing. That steady summer bloom helps keep bees and butterflies hanging around instead of showing up for 2 days and disappearing.
So bee balm pulls them in. Echinacea keeps the summer rhythm going, and French marigolds cover the low, sunny edge.
That's a useful way to think about it. Different heights, different bloom habits, different insect visitors, and they don't all need to be touching the tomatoes to help the tomato bed.
That part feels important. Companion planting doesn't mean every plant is shoulder to shoulder like a crowded elevator.
Please put that on a seed packet. Tomatoes need air. Flowers need sun. If you force them into the same tiny space, the tomato usually wins, and the flowers sulk.
What about basil flowers and nasturtiums? People love those with tomatoes.
They can be useful. Basil flowers are popular with bees, and nasturtiums can be lovely. But if I'm planning a reliable tomato pollinator strip, bee balm, echinacea, and French marigolds are easier to place and manage, especially if I want bloom from midsummer towards September.
So you're not anti-marigold. You're anti-one marigold per tomato mythology.
Correct. One marigold tucked beside a tomato isn't evil. It's just not a complete strategy. Put a row of French marigolds on the south edge where they get light, and now we're having a real conversation.
Fiona's 30-second verdict?
Yes, plant these with tomatoes, but place them like working plants, not ornaments. My practical recommendation is French marigolds on the sunny edge at 8 to 12 inches apart, echinacea in a nearby sunny clump, and bee balm at the bed end or in a separate strip with space. The reason is simple. Tomatoes get enormous, and pollinator flowers only help if pollinators can see them, reach them, and keep visiting.
That's the whole episode right there. Don't stuff flowers under a tomato jungle and call it companion planting.
And don't forget the harvest path. If you can't reach the sun golds without crushing something, the layout is wrong.
We'll be back with more practical garden experiments, questionable decisions, and Fiona preventing me from turning every tomato bed into a floral traffic jam. If this helped, hit subscribe. We drop 3 new episodes every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you don't have to hunt for the next one.
Thank you for listening to this edition of RudeInsect.com, Conversations with Grant and Fiona.